Hi there, it's Chris, and thanks for joining me on this video. The purpose of this video today is to show you how to use one of our daily find spreadsheets. There's usually 10 to 15 items on there every day, and we want to make it easier for you to understand the spreadsheet, understand the numbers you see in the spreadsheet, and be able to make some quick decisions about what you'd like to buy and add to your inventory. So that's what we're going to cover today. So I want to cover two common myths that come up when you're doing online sourcing. These are things that you might believe or you've heard about doing online sourcing, which just really aren't true. And the first one's a big one. I hear this actually quite often, and I hear it from people that have experience selling. That is that you can only find products with a 20 to 30% ROI, and you really can't find much better when you're looking for products online. We've just found that that's simply not the case. Our sourcing sheet has a minimum of 50% ROI on its products, and we try to source as close to 100% ROI as possible. So that means for every $10 you spend, you make $10. You make your original $10 back, plus you net a profit of $10. In fact, you'll see on our spreadsheet we've got 80% ROI, 90% ROI, a bunch of 100% ROIs and over. In fact, the other day we found a product on GameStop for about 98 cents that was selling for $20 on Amazon. That's a 1200 ROI. So it's certainly possible to find really great ROIs, and that's good news for bootstrappers. If you're trying to make the most of your money as possible, you want us to buy as close to 100% ROI as possible. That way you can tie up your money in investments that are going to give you the greatest return. And you'll find plenty of that on the spreadsheet. Another thing that comes up pretty often, and this is something I believed when I was first doing online arbitrage too, but it turns out in my experience this is simply just not the case. And that is the idea that online stores are limiting the number of items that you can put in your shopping cart and you can buy. It just hasn't been the case for us. In most cases, when we go to a store, we can buy as many as we want, put 10 in our shopping cart. It's not a problem. Once in a while, we'll come across a store that does have some kind of limit. Sometimes during clearance sales, they may limit the number you can buy and that sort of thing. But that ends up really not being a problem, because if you really want the item, you can just check out multiple times. And I've done that on a couple occasions where I've gone and bought two at a time, because that's all it would let me buy. But by and large, this is just not a problem. I don't see it on a day-to-day basis, and it just doesn't end up really being a big factor. So that's just two issues I want to address really quickly, because it's something I think that holds a lot of people back from being enthusiastic about online arbitrage, and I want you to be enthusiastic about it because it's a lot of fun and it's actually pretty easy, especially when you have a spreadsheet coming to you every day. All right, so let's kind of hop into this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a recent spreadsheet. I'm going to look at last week's spreadsheet, and we'll have a close look at the numbers and what they mean, and I'll kind of walk you through my thought process. What am I thinking when I'm looking at these numbers? All right, so here's our spreadsheet. This is from 11/19. Okay, this is just from a few days ago. So a couple of these deals may be sold out already. It's possible because it's a little old. But in my experience, a lot of these deals will still actually be available. And that's not really what's important, but I did want to mention that. All right, so what I'm normally looking for, like if I was just going to open the spreadsheet up and immediately take a quick look, what I do is I scan the net profit and net ROI, because what I'm looking for is the highest net profit and highest ROI pairs. Sorry, it looks like my spreadsheet kind of jumped there for a second. So I want to look for these numbers right here. I want them to be big. So let's see this one here, 123% profit, or ROI, that's awesome. Plus it's a $25 profit, which is good, right? So this right at initially just kind of jumps out at me. Let's see, let's scroll down here, kind of looking at the last day of the week. So this one here has got a great ROI, but the net profit's not quite as good. So the really sweet ones are the ones with the highest ROI and highest profit. Like these right here would be great. Okay, this one here is really great. That's not to say that the other deals on here are bad, but these are the ones to me are most attractive. Because I'd be happy all day long to make $30 every time I spend $54, right? that's good. I mean, it's only a 50% ROI, so I'm not making as much for my dollar as I am here on this item, but I'm still making a good deal of money, back. For every $50 I spend, I make 30. That's wonderful. Okay, now let's go to the top. Take a look at this item right here, the Improvements Universal Barbecue Caddy. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. So I can buy that for $20 at hsn.com. I can sell it for $70 on Amazon, and I'm going to net $25. That means I'm going to take home $25. I'm going to get to keep that. So I'll make my money back, plus I'll keep that. That's over 100% ROI, so it's a really great use of my money. This is a cool number that we've got here. This is the number of these items you need to purchase in order to net $100. And I like buying in increments of $100. All right. So I may buy 4 of these just because I want to make a nice, cool $100. And I know that I can sell those for in probably about a month or two. Especially if I look at this number here, that's the number of items estimated that are being sold per month across all the sellers, right? And we know that on Amazon, the FBA sellers, which you are, would be getting the majority of those sales. And if I kind of scoot over here, I see there's actually only 2 sellers on this, and only one of them is FBA. So I'm going to have really only one legitimate customer on this listing, and it's selling $47 per month, and I'm going to make $25 per sale. That's sounding pretty good to me right there. All right. Now, as far as the rank goes, I'm going to kind of back up a little bit. I don't think about the rank too much when I'm in these spreadsheets because we keep all of our ranks 3% or better. And actually, this one's a little bit outside of 3%, but it's so close, it's negligible. And honestly, even if it had a worse rank, it would still probably be a pretty good product. All right, but this is 82K in patio, lawn, and garden, which puts it in about the 3% bracket. Right, so that's good. Some sellers, they're happy with 10%. we're pretty much happy with 3%, and we want to only share the best finds with you guys. This is the total amount of products in the category, and that's what helps us calculate this percentage here. That's just kind of for reference. The ASIN is the inventory number that Amazon has assigned to the product. We just have that there for reference. And then this is the link where you can buy the product at. And this is the link where you sell the product. This is the recommended listing we're recommending you sell the product on. So one thing I want to say about these recommended listings, Amazon will sometimes have multiple listings for a single item. And sometimes that's because the items are truly a little different. They may have UPCs because they're last year's model. They might have like a different UPC because it's last year's model, or it might have a little bit different packaging, or it may be some variation like has a little different colors or something. But sometimes you'll see multiple listings for the same exact product. Usually there's one listing that's kind of like the main listing. It's the one where it's got the best rank and it's got the most sellers. And we usually try to post to that listing. We want to add our product to that listing. And that's almost always the case. There are some exceptions. Once in a while, like you might see a product listed in 2 places, and let's say the first listing, the main listing, has a lot of traffic on it. The second listing also has a lot of traffic, but it's actually making a little more money. Sometimes we'll actually recommend that you post it on the second listing, the one that's making more profit per item. So I just want to mention that. It can come up. So we take that kind of thing into consideration when we've got the Amazon URL here. We want you to be able to post it under the listing that makes the most sense to you. All right. And then over here in the notes section, you will see a little bit of information here on some products that just kind of gives you a little direction. We'll point out when we feel it's a low risk item that's really good for beginners, and we'll also point out when there's a lot of ROI and it's good for bootstrapping. So if you're starting off with $1,000 and you're just trying to grow it from the ground up and you're not putting a whole bunch of capital into this, every month, then bootstrapping is a great way to go. All right. So let's go ahead and come back over here and we'll take a look at another product. I'm going to scroll down here. We're going to talk about shoes a little bit, okay? Here we go. There's some shoes right there. So I love shoes. We make a lot of money with shoes and it's some of our best selling products. Now shoes is a gated category. We have a few gated categories that we'll include in the spreadsheet, but it's the ones that either are essential like shoes or pretty easy to get into like foods and health and beauty. So those are pretty much the three categories that we'll include. You'll usually see a couple pairs of shoes on here on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you're not already ungated in shoes, I highly recommend you get ungated in shoes. It can take a little work if you're going to do it yourself. And some people have to try a couple times before it works. But there's also companies out there that will ungate you for a fee. So they might charge you $200 and they'll do the work for you and kind of walk you through the process, and then you're ungated. If you don't want to spend a lot of time on ungating, that's probably the way to go. But I recommend whatever path you take, you do get ungated in shoes. It's just such a great category to source in. There's a lot of inventory out there. When shoes go on clearance, they get real cheap, but they still maintain their value from a retail standpoint. So you usually get some pretty good ROI on shoes and pretty good net profit. All right, so you will see some shoes in here, and I do encourage you to ungate. Groceries and health and beauty, if you're familiar with ungating, those are pretty easy to get into because all you need to do is submit 3 receipts to Amazon for each of those categories, and you can get ungated pretty easily. All right, so normally you don't have to pay somebody to do that, although there are services out there that will gladly take your money to do that for you. All right, so one of the things I wanted to say about shoes is more and more we're pointing out the different sizes of shoes and different color variations of shoes that are profitable. So sometimes you'll just see one size, and that's because, well, there's only one size that really looks good to sell, because you might have different sizes going for different prices because there's more or less demand. You also might have some sizes that Amazon's selling, and you might not want to sell against Amazon. But whenever you're sourcing for shoes, definitely take a look at some of the other sizes and see what prices they're going for, and diversify your purchase a little bit. So don't spend all your money like buying 5 size 10s. You know, buy 1 or 2 size 10s and 1 or 2 size 6s and 1 or 2 size 7s, you know, that kind of thing. And spread it out a little bit. All right. Sometimes with shoes, certain sizes will be out of inventory. That's great for you because when you buy those shoes, you'll be the only one selling that size. So that's good. Now, in regards to this column here, is Amazon a seller? Normally, we're going to shy away from listings where Amazon is selling. Why? Because Amazon tends to sell at the cheapest price. They can also tend to be pretty aggressive in terms of repricing. We found that particularly in shoes. Amazon will try to match your price and beat you and try to own the buy box for itself. It wants to be like the default product that somebody puts in their cart when they hit checkout or, you know, drop in cart. And so Amazon can be a tough competitor, and a lot of people do not like selling against Amazon. All right. Now, a nice thing though is when Amazon is low on inventory. If Amazon's low on inventory, let's say they just have a couple units left, well, that's a great time to start selling that product, because as soon as they run out of inventory, the prices are going to go up, and you're going to probably blow out some products at a higher price than Amazon was selling them. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so typically for this column, is Amazon a seller? You're going to see that in most cases, Amazon is not a seller. If they are, there was a specific reason that that was going to be okay. Maybe because Amazon was really low on stock, or maybe because we felt it was possible to compete with Amazon. All right, here. So let's talk a little bit more about what you might want to do if you were more of an advanced seller or you had more capital to work with. So we talked about earlier how there was a deal here. Where was it? that guy right there. We talked about how, you might be happy all day long to spend $55 and make almost $30, right? That's not as good for a bootstrapper, but what if you've got a lot of capital? You've got quite a bit of money that you can spend. Well, good. Then this is a great deal for you because, you can take advantage of the 100% ROI stuff, but you can also take advantage of these 50% ROI things. So go ahead, check out those deals and make those purchases because, like I said, you're going to still make a great deal of money. If you're more an advanced seller, you might be a little more interested in some of these lower ROI deals. Now, we try to keep our net profit at about $10 or more, and just as a rule of thumb. But some of these items here that are selling for under $10 can still be pretty good deals. They may just be a little trickier to work with because you have less net profit. If the price fluctuates a little bit, it can affect how much money you're making quite a bit more. So that's something to keep in mind. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for a more beginner seller, but sometimes those items can make a lot of profit for you if you're selling a high number of them or if there's very little competition. So this is one good example of that. This lift and learn animal puzzle. It has 0 FBA sellers and only 1 other seller. So, if you were to buy 16 of these, you're probably going to get most of these sales in the next month. So if you buy 16, you're going to make about $100 on that. And, it is low risk in the sense that you're not spending a lot of money. So if something did happen to the prices, you're not going to be out a lot. But you are making over 100% ROI. So you're doubling your money. So that's more of an advanced find there, but still a good one. All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about a little bit on the spreadsheet is the promo codes column here. And you'll see we'll note any specials, any special shipping, or how to get free shipping, any promo codes that you might need when you check out. You definitely want to take a look at this. Now, when we put the price in here, the store price, it is reflective of using the promotional codes. And so, in other words, if this says basically get 20% off, then this price is going to reflect that reduced 20% off. All right. So what I usually recommend you do is get an account at ebates.com. And before you check out, go to Ebates, look for the store, click the link. What that's going to do is it's going to send a certain percentage of that purchase back to you in the form of a rebate through ebates.com. Usually it's 2 or 3%, but that can add up over time. Now, most stores will offer free shipping. However, you usually have to meet some minimum total value for your order. For example, here at Boscov's is $49 or more. So oftentimes it's going to be pretty easy to meet that minimum order and get the free shipping. You can do that just by checking out with enough items in your cart or buying a couple different items, and then you hit that free shipping threshold. If you can't hit the free shipping threshold, then you do have to factor in the shipping cost into your cost per item. Now, we've got pretty high ROIs on most of these prices or most of these items, so it's not usually a big factor. Even if you had to pay some shipping, you're still going to have a pretty good net profit. But keep that in mind. If you can't do it, then you might consider skipping that item because it is going to raise your cost per item, which reduces your net profit and your ROI. So overall, if you were to purchase 1 or 2 of these items per day and, just find the item that makes the most sense for you for that day and you buy enough to make $100 profit, day 1, let's say you bought enough inventory to make $200 profit because you bought 2 items. Day 2, you bought enough inventory to make another $200 in profit. And you do that for 5 days a week. That's about $1,000 in profit you can expect to get within the next couple weeks. The whole trick with doing arbitrage with Amazon is making sure you're sending in enough inventory. So what happens to a lot of people is they'll send it in little spurts, and they're not consistent. So sometimes they'll have lots of inventory, so they're making a lot of money, and sometimes their inventory is, way down and reduced, and they're just not seeing any sales. I mean, how much inventory you've got at Amazon is directly correlated with how much money you're actually making. So one of the things that I find advantageous about these spreadsheets is that I can very consistently every day pretty easily find at least one or two, if not more, deals that to me are pretty much no-brainers, that are good deals, and I can pick them up. So set yourself a budget, decide how much you want to spend per week, and just each day find the best couple deals, make those purchases, have them shipped to your home or wherever you need to get them shipped, and then I recommend every 2 weeks you put your shipment together and get it out to Amazon, and just kind of do that like clockwork. If you're consistent, you'll have consistent sales. If you're not consistent, then less so, but you'll still be making money. All right. So I hope that answers a lot of your questions. I didn't find a need to really visit some of these store sites or take much closer looks at the Amazon listings. And the reason I didn't do that is because we've got so much data packed into the spreadsheet. It's almost really everything you need to know. The only exception I would say is I like to look at price history. So I like to jump over to Camel and see, how has this product been doing over the last couple months? Does it spike every Christmas? Because if it spikes at Christmas and we're close to Christmas, I'm going to buy some extras and hold on to them at that higher price so I can capture some sales at that higher price. But I also just want to see that the price has been good and consistent over time, or it's been growing. I don't want to buy an item if it's kind of on a downward trend. So that's one consideration. You can take a look at Camel, but again, most of these products here, we've had a look at all that stuff, and the numbers are going to be pretty darn good. So there's not a whole lot more extra work you have to do. You might just look at a couple things, just kind of assure yourself that it's a good product. But I trust these finds pretty well. So hopefully you'll have some good experience with this, and you'll find some things every day that you enjoy. If you guys have any questions for me or my team, you can just drop us a note. Let me show you the URL here. You can send us a note at fbadailyfinds.com/support. There's basically a form there, and you can put in whatever questions you've got, and we'll get back to you within a business day or two. So I hope you enjoyed the movie, and please let me know if you have any questions again. My name's Chris Rizzo, and thanks for taking the time to watch. Take care.